Hey everybody, and welcome to this video to describe Milestone 3 and the requirements for it to you. We're following right through this plan, doing all the things we need to, and we're going to use Milestone 3 to define two of our four Ps. So what we're trying to do is understand our pricing and selling channel strategies at this point. So we start this by doing some research. You really need to get online and really understand very well how does your target market value your product. You started looking at that when we discussed product last week. Or the last for the last milestone. So you're going to want to take a look at how they value your product because that, of course, directly reflects in how you should go about doing the pricing for it. But the more important part of it from the research is to really understand where they shop for products like yours. So it could be either quality snack types of products, or it could be uh, well, it could be for guacamole, but it could be for quality snack types of products, and it also could be for just generally speaking food product sources that they buying food for things they're going to serve at home. So any one of those things will help you understand where they shop for your product, where and how, I would say these days, because the channels are um, not just in one area. So when you think about pricing strategy, we need to start with our targets, needs, and wants. That's exactly what it comes down to. So you want to consider how they value the product that we have put together. We did that in the last milestone. Um, I want you to consider very clearly your position statement that you wrote for the product back in milestone 2. That really should be reflected in your pricing strategy and how you go about doing it. Because that's where you see your brand in the marketplace. So you want to choose a primary strategy, which is the kind of our ongoing way of looking at it. Are we going to position ourselves on the low um, price of the spectrum that has its pluses and minuses? Are we going to use a premium strategy, which we're going to consciously try to charge a higher price for our product? There's lots of good reasons for doing that. Increase profitability, but also it's reflective of the brand, as we talked about when you learned about pricing. Um, if you have a premium product, you really need to uh, put forward a premium price. And the other consideration is, do we choose a market sensitive price? Do we have a product that is highly sensitive to market uh, uh, views of what the product should be, and what they're willing to pay for it or not? Um, Market sensitivity is not so much relationship to competition as much as we've all made decisions along these lines where we've looked at a product and said, do I really need that type of product or not? And you've walked away from certain products and said, no, I'm not going to spend that much money on it at this point. Or you've said, it's like, well, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal. I'm going to go ahead and buy it at that price. So that's what market sensitivity is about, is understanding at what point does your target market um, say, okay, that seems like a worthy thing to buy at that price. And then also, I want you to consider an introductory strategy. We talked about this a bit. A penetration type of strategy where we come in low and eventually anticipate raising the price. The skimming strategy where we're trying to recover some of our uh, development costs and charge at a higher price and rig it down, or potentially not having any kind of introductory strategy at all. When you do this in the milestone, I want you to talk about the pros and cons, the pluses and the minuses of any one of these choices. They all have them. As we can learned, no pricing strategy is perfect. So there's going to be good and bad with any one of these choices. And I want you to clearly understand that before going into it. That's very important to be able to do that. The second part of our milestone that we need to do is select our selling channel strategy. Now, I make a point of saying, obviously, when you're doing a complete marketing plan, you would consider all aspects of the supply chain, the amount of time it takes. Cheaper and faster are words that describe what we hope to get from our supply chain. Um, but but that it's a very involved process, and obviously we don't have the time to do that in this course and in the plan that we're working on. So I'm going to want us to concentrate on selling channel strategy. So that's all about where you offer the product for your end consumer to, or your target customer to buy it. And that starts with where do they shop? And you guys can do some research on this and really gain a good understanding of that. Um, Especially if you take your general description that we talked about, not too specific. Try to get more general about it, um, and understand where their shopping channels and it's where and how. So where could be the types of places that they go, but how could be, do they buy it online? Do they buy it through retail channels? There's several options there, so we have to consider what those are. You're going to choose from that a primary strategy. That's the one you're going to kind of focus on and say, this is where we're going to make sure that we are optimizing. And that could be, let's say, for example, natural foods, grocers, or something like that. Not saying that's should be your choice, but that could be one. And then you're going to have secondary channels. You're going to sell through as many different channels as makes sense to support your brand. Remember, the choices you make here are reflective of your brand, um, uh, and what you're trying to position your brand to be. So obviously, if you're gonna if you're gonna sell a very high quality product with all the quality ingredients, and you're gonna charge a premium price for it, you're probably not going to want to sell it in the AM PM markets, which are associated with gas stations. So you probably not your best choice. So your primary strategy would be your primary channel. And then you're going to consider what are secondary channels, because any consumer product is probably not going to be served by a singular um, selling channel. So you're going to have to think about others as well. So anyway, that should be reflective of where does your target market shop. Okay, so this is a template for it, a brief description of your persona. It's repeating itself yet again, um, because it's so important. Your position statement reiterated to support your pricing strategy. In this case, that matters a lot. We want to be able to say how we have the brand in our mind positioned. Want to define how your target market sees the value of your product. Again, that's going to borrow from some of the things that you did in Milestone 2. You're going to define your overall pricing strategy. You're going to define your introductory pricing strategy, and you're going to define your selling channel. In the end, you're going to pull all these milestones together for your final project submission. That's the good news is if you write this and you revise it based on the feedback that you get, um, you're really in a good position. This shouldn't take you too long to get it all put together at the end. If you have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to ask, and best of luck with it.